Regarding my significant other, I know just about everything about him. Favorite color, birthday, the usual. However, I've also memorized his gait, mentally recorded the soft sounds he makes without realizing, and imprinted on his cute tics, like playing with his shoulder-length hair when he's trying to focus. Though this may be the case with other people, being around him for the duration I have has allowed me to identify him no matter the circumstances by these small tells. His nose is aquiline, which, for him, has resulted in a slight snore he's unaware of. It's not loud or obnoxious, but adorable. It's a small noise, and I've found myself unable to sleep without this white noise at times. I can hear him getting up in the middle of the night, which rouses me. He either gets a snack or does his business, sometimes leaving the faucet dripping, then comes back to bed. However, until he's out and back in that constant rhythmic snore, I lie there, unnerved. When he got back into bed that night, his snore was the same as always, wispy and airy. I had noted that whoever or whatever had replaced him had his snore down pat, to an impressive and unsettling degree. I knew this person wasn't him, because there was too much of a sag on his return to bed, too much presence filling the space behind my back. I also knew something was wrong because the dripping faucet in the bathroom had drops that seemed a bit too heavy to be water. I told it I was going to the kitchen for a snack, in reality a knife, because I always notice the little things. It started as a virus and spread quickly. The infected became inhumanly strong. They had incredible reflexes, heightened senses, and impeccable speed. They walked on all fours and their bones bent in ways that would leave any normal human immobile and in agony. But they weren't human anymore. They had one weakness though. They couldn't see. The color of their eyes would turn to a sickening milky white that leaked pus like never-ending tears. But they could hear so well that one tiny whisper, one small gasp, 1 foot moving over just a centimeter would mean your doom. But I was always quiet, always careful. It's been 9 years, but I am still here. My son wasn't so skilled. He was taken during year 4, when he was only 7. We had been stuck standing awkwardly when we noticed its approach, and after hours and hours he ran out of stamina and faltered. He shifted his foot slightly, and it was over in an instant, his eyes desperately begging me to save him as the creature crossed the distance and devoured him. I didn't move. I cried for him silently as I watched the thing crawl away satisfied with its meal. It hasn't been easy out here, but it's easier without my son. I don't have to hide anything anymore. As I look down at the woman begging at my knees, I feel nothing. Not when I slit her throat, and not even when I did the same to her baby. I remember when my son asked why everybody we took in would leave suddenly without saying goodbye, and the story I had to make up to cover my tracks. Luckily, he never asked why we always had plenty of supplies, and plenty of meat when there weren't many animals left to hunt. When my son was born, my wife and I both worked full-time on mostly opposite schedules. This meant that if you weren't at work, you were taking care of a baby and trying to squeeze in sleep. As you can imagine, we were always exhausted. But it is just what you do when you have a little one. This happened when he was about 3 or 4 months old. I had the afternoon off, so I decided to take advantage of the sleep when they sleep advice everyone gives you. I was dead asleep when I heard the doorbell. Great, now the baby's up too. My wife is addicted to Amazon, so I figured it was just a package. I lifted my son and headed to the door. Right when I was about to reach for the doorknob, my son, clear as day, said, "Don't. If you haven't had a child, you may not know he shouldn't be talking for at least a few more months." I was so shocked at hearing his little voice speak so perfectly I paused, and tried to coax him to say it again. No luck. I opened the door and saw a man walking away from my yard over to the neighbor's door. There was no package around, so I assumed it was a door-to-door salesman, and was glad I missed out on a sales pitch. I closed the door, laid my son on the couch, and 2 hollow bangs sounded from the house next door. My feeling of surprise was interrupted by the look of relief on his face and his grateful eyes. The police came, and my neighbor was found dead in his doorway. Nothing was taken, or any clues as to why he was shot. All I can leave you with is, next time you go to open the door for an unexpected visitor, don't. I haven't gotten a full night of sleep in months. If I don't respond to his commands in an instant, I'm damned to hear his screams for hours on end. Every need of his must be put before my own. I can't remember the last time I sat down to a warm meal. He's calling for me now. Malnourished and sleep-deprived, I stumble to his room. His cries have destroyed my sanity. This madness must end. In his food, I slip a small amount of powder. He won't need much. Hastily, he takes the nipple between his lips and begins to down the liquid. It won't be long now. Sirens replace the shrill sound of his tiny voice. Questions are asked, but I have no answers. My husband sobs, but I can be of no comfort. No one else could possibly understand the burden of our infant son. This plane trip was never going to end. I wish we could just land already. The women and the man next to me have been chatting up a storm the entire time. There was a baby a few seats in front of me that's been crying relentlessly since we first took off. I was staring out the window again, completely bored with the newspaper I brought along. Way down below, I could still see the beautiful blue ocean I'd been watching for so long now, when I heard the man next to me mention something to the women about a science experiment he had signed up for a while back, wishing they would just shut up already. I let out an annoyed sigh. I saw them both look at me in the reflection of the window briefly before looking back at each other and continuing their conversation. "No way," the woman said in amazement. "Was the guy really short with white hair?" "Yeah," the man said, a little confused. "How do you know that?" "I signed up for that too. The guy's been sending me a check for months now, and I haven't even seen or talked to him since I signed the papers." "Same here," the man spoke with disbelief. The man directly in front of me was eavesdropping on their conversation the entire flight. He turned around in his seat with a weird look on his face. "Excuse me," he said to the man and women. "I couldn't help but hear you talking about that science experiment. I just find it odd that I too signed a contract with the same man, and have also been getting checks in the mail without doing a thing." Then the 2 women next to him chimed in, admitting they too had signed a contract with the mysterious man. Up and down the aisles, one after another, people started engaging in the conversation while I just sat there staring out the window, growing more and more annoyed. A panic broke out among all the passengers on the plane, except me. I just felt a maddening aggravation coursing through my veins. "Do you think this is part of the experiment?" one woman called out. "Is anyone's cell phone working?" a man near the front asked. "All right, everyone, hold on for a second," another man hollered. The plane fell silent. "Raise your hand if you've signed a contract with the white-haired man." Everyone raised their hands. Everyone except me. I just glared out the window, feeling insanity starting to take over. "All right, hands down," the man yelled. "Has anyone here not signed the contract?" No one raised their hands. "Hey buddy," the man next to me tapped me on the shoulder. "You didn't raise your hand either time." All eyes were on me now. "Did you sign the papers?" Did I sign the papers? Of course I signed the damn papers. I screamed out of insanity and finally faced everyone. I just can't take this anymore. The same boring newspaper, the howling baby, these two idiots. I pointed to the man and women next to me. I just can't believe no one else remembers. You've all been having the same conversation for almost a month. Everyone looked around confused as the sleeper gas started pouring out of all the vents. Here we go again.